a beautiful Tuesday evening for some softball here at Carolina Softball Stadium at Beckham Field. We thank you for tuning in to SGTV's coverage of Carolina softball. Ryan Stinson here with you tonight alongside Austin McConnell. Austin, we're back here for the final week of the regular season, and the Gamecocks return after going down to Auburn, Alabama. Series didn't end the way it hoped for them down in Auburn, but they still have some pretty high postseason aspirations heading into this last week of the season.
Absolutely. They're looking to make their third straight NCAA appearance, and it's looking pretty good so far. They just got to kind of finish this week out strong, finish the season out strong, and this is a good start tonight with their final one-off midweek game of the season against Furman, and then a big series against Alabama this weekend. Ryan, what are you looking for out of the game tonight?
Out of the game, I'm looking for just a lot of consistency out of every single element of this team. We've had a lot of spurts, a lot of really high action in every single part of the ball, really, from pitching to hitting to fielding. But it just doesn't seem that it's all come together for this South Carolina team to make a full 9 innings. And then obviously for Furman, you're coming into such a tough road environment. You're sitting at the bottom of the Southern Conference right now. It's a tough task to come into Columbia and face this Gamecock team who's hotter than they've ever been in recent memory. But Paladins will try to come out of Columbia with a win as we get started here. Our first pitch just a few moments away. Neely Lamb in the circle for South Carolina, the sophomore out of Cades, South Carolina, the transfer from Charleston Southern. And leading off for the Furman Paladins out in left field is Caitlin Goldwaite, the senior out of Sugar Land, Texas, hitting .350 so far on the year. As we get ready for some softball here in South Carolina. First pitch clips the outside edge of the plate for strike number 1.
Yeah, the umpires include home plate Tonya Cash, first base Tammy Cooper, and second base Jason Zanny.
As Goldwaite awaits the second pitch from Lamb, she fires and we get a slap shot foul on the third base line, hitting into the net just before the dugout. That'll put her down 0-2 in the count early.
Ryan, and you mentioned Furman's struggles this year. They're 15-33 overall, but 6-11 on the road. That's not very good. That's about midway where you kind of want to be. But South Carolina's 28-4 at home, so they didn't know how to protect Carolina Softball Stadium.
Foul once again to keep the count 0-2 on the third pitch from Lamb. So we take a look at the South Carolina infield to start out. Ariana Rohde at first base. What a job she's done,
Absolutely.
Austin, in this this whole season. Really just coming in and fitting in as a big part of this Carolina team.
Yeah, she leads the team in a lot of big stats.
As this one's low for ball number 1.
One of those stats including she's 10th in the nation for walks per game. That she has 43 in those. And in game 1 against Auburn, Rohde set a new single-season program record for the most walks. 13 home runs as well, tied for 3rd in program history. So she's making her mark here at South Carolina.
Absolutely, and what a season to do so. Absolutely. As Lamb's pitch goes low and outside once again, even the count up at 2 apiece. And looking at the rest of the infield, we've got number 33, Carly Shelton at second base, Brooke Blankenship, number 4 at shortstop, and Ella Chansey at the third base. And, of course, behind the plate, Lexi Winters, where she's been all season, as this one fouled behind Goldwaite once again keeps the count at 2 apiece.
Goldwaite doing a great job staying alive, running up the pitch count early. First batter of the lineup, and this has been a pretty lengthy at-bat.
South Carolina wearing their white jerseys today with garnet embellishments in the sleeves, stripes on the pants, and the numbers. As Lamb's pitch and Goldwaite makes contact, hops right to Brooke Blankenship, who makes the easy throw to first. 4 out number 1 here in the top of the first. Furman's uniforms all gray with white stripes at the sleeves as well and down the pants, purple socks and purple numbers with a white outline.
That brings up Sylvia Burrows in the 2 spot. She's had a great season as well. She leads the team in on-base percentage with a .446.
Lamb's first pitch to Burrows outside for ball number 1. Burrows hitting a .328 average currently.
She's very patient in the box, only swings at stuff she really likes. This is going to be a tough match for Lamb.
Second pitch outside, but clips the edge for strike number 1. And taking a look at the Carolina outfield, in left field is number 17, Emily Vinson, the senior transfer from Longwood. In the center, Carolina's leadoff hitter, number 43, Quincy Lelio. This pitch clips the outside edge once again for strike number 2. And then in right field, we have Abigail Knight, the 6th year, another transfer out of Charlotte. There in right field. So all transfers in the outfield with Longwood, Oklahoma, and Charlotte representation, as this one is fouled down the first base side for strike number 2. As Ella Chansey meets up, exchanges a few words with Neely Lamb as she gets reset here in the circle. So Sylvia Burrows, 1-2 count with 1 out, no runners on. The pitch from Lamb, it will go foul down the third base side to keep the count at 1-2.
Ella Chansey was ready to make that throw over to first, but just stayed left of the line. Again, good job by Burrows staying alive in this count. She's all the way back in the back of the batter's box,
Lamb winds up, the 1-2 pitch, and Burrows makes contact, will go past Chansey down the third base side, picked up by Vincent, and the throw is made to Carly Shelton to keep the runner at first base. So a single in the second batter up for the Furman Paladins brings up Kylie Perry, junior out of Alpharetta, Georgia, the first baseman for the Paladins.
That was Burrows' 45th hit on the season. Keeps boasting that on-base percentage.
Lamb's first pitch to Perry fouled into the backstop for strike number 1.
And that last hit by Burrows was a tough play for Chansey to make over there at third base. Looked like it was going to be a line drive right about knee height, and then it dips down and kind of just skips off the ground and gets into the outfield.
And as that ball careens towards the ground, it's hard to know where that's going to go next.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great effort by Chansey, but just slips past her as Lamb's pitch little bit low for ball number 1, evens out the count at 1 apiece. So a runner on, 1-1 count and 1 out for the junior Kylie Perry, the third batter here in the Paladins lineup. Lamb winds up the pitch. Perry makes contact but is fouled into the net on the first base side.
This is an opportunity for Furman to get a couple runners on base and punch South Carolina in the mouth early, get just a couple runs on board. This series history, it's 70-10 in favor of South Carolina, and the Gamecocks have won the last 14, so they're looking to extend their win streak to 15. Furman trying to put a halt to that.
Just a little bit lopsided.
Yeah.
Only slightly. Lamb's pitch low, bounces right in front of Lamb, but Burrows will hold up at first.
I would say it's a little lopsided, like our height. You're
a little bit.
Quite taller than me.
Some framing issues here at the start of this broadcast, trying to make sure we were both in frame here.
Yeah. It's nice on Gamecock game day because there's 2 different cameras. You can't tell how short I am.
As Lamb's pitch high and over the plate for ball 3 makes the count full. So again, a runner on first. No score yet for Furman.
This is a big pitch from
Lamb. 1 out.
Sorry, Ryan. This is a big pitch from Lamb. Can kind of get out of a jam here or put 2 runners on.
The 3-2 pitch. And Perry makes contact deep into center field. Lelio won't get there in time as it heads to the wall. And Perry will head to second. Burrows advances to third. And what a spot the Paladins have put themselves in early against this very highly rated Gamecock team.
That's a big hit by Perry. That's exactly what I was just saying. Now they move, not only was that a hit, but now they move 2 runners into scoring position with only 1 out here in the top of the first. A big hit by Perry. And now there's a circle meeting for the Gamecocks, just trying to calm Neely Lamb down just a little bit.
Yep, quick infield meeting here, and that was just perfect ball placement there by Perry to just put it right past where Lelio was standing, right past that logo, landing right in front of the warning track. Just a great spot. No wind here really today. We can see the flags pretty still at the moment. If you had a good wind heading towards the fence, 5 miles an hour, that one might have been out of here, Austin.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really strong coming off the barrel of the bat. Just straight back into center field, and Lelio was kind of playing a little short. I don't think she was expecting that much power from Kylie Perry, but she proves a couple Gamecocks wrong, and now I assume Lelio's going to stay in the same position because Perry's kind of one of the only few Furman Paladins that really have a lot of power other than Burrows and Goldway, obviously, but this is a good opportunity for Lamb to kind of lock back in and get out of this jam.
Rachel Hawkins now at the plate, the freshman from Miami, Florida. First pitch from Lamb, high for ball one. Hawkins is out in third base for the Paladins today, a .212 average with 24 hits on the season, 21 RBIs. And she swings at Lamb's second pitch to even the count at 1 apiece.
Rachel Hawkins is the first freshman starter on Furman. The next 3 batters after her are also all freshmen. A very young team this Furman team is. They have 10 freshmen in total, 4 of those again being starters.
The 1-1 pitch from Lamb, and she swings at it again for strike number 2. Looked to be a little bit of a drop ball, kind of on the inside edge for Hawkins. Just looked to make some strong contact with it, but just dipped under the bat there at the last second. Good control there of the pitch by Neely Lamb as the count's now 1-2. Lamb winds up, and Hawkins makes contact this side. Lelio scrambles after it. It's hit in right center field. Both of the runners will come home, and Hawkins will stay at second. The Furman Paladins have gone up 2 runs early here at the top of the first.
That's her 23rd RBI on the season. She got 2 from that hit alone, and a sliding in double there. That's big for Furman. I talked about how they needed to get on a roll early and really catch South Carolina off guard. I mean, they're 2-11 in their last 13 games. Had a 9-game losing streak going until they beat Sanford 2 weeks ago, 6-1. That's a great start for the Paladins.
Katie Peeler now up to bat. Lamb's first pitch high for ball 1. Peeler, the freshman out of Salisbury, North Carolina, hitting a .237 average so far with 28 hits and 11 runs on the season. With a runner on second, 1 out. The Paladins up 2-0 early here in the top of the first. Slam checks her wrist and winds up to deliver the pitch. And Peeler makes contact but fouls it into the net, kind of on the back edge of the first base side. Evens the count at 1 apiece.
Thank you for the net. That would have come right towards us, I believe.
I think you could have made a chance at that.
I was flinching a little too hard there. Probably would have hit me in the big old head.
So 1-1 count to Katie Peeler. Lamb's pitch. Inside edge, strike 2.
Great pitch by Lamb there. Gets ahead in the count. Obviously a 1-2 count now with 1 out. This is a very big moment. I've said that a couple times this inning, but there's been a couple big moments where Lamb has let Furman get the best of her. This is her opportunity to get him back.
Lamb's 1-2 pitch, and Peeler swings and misses. The first strikeout of the day for Neely Lamb. And now 2 outs for this South Carolina defense, looking to strain a runner at second for Furman. Furman up 2-0 early as Madison Petty comes to the plate. Yet again, another freshman here for this Paladins lineup out of Dade City, Florida. This is Lamb's first pitch. Inside edge for ball 1. Furman making a big impact early with 2 runs and 3 hits here in the top of the first. As Petty seeks to drive a runner home from second, increase that score even more. Lamb's pitch inside edge, but clips the edge of the plate for strike 1. South Carolina looking to bounce back from their last weekend series against Auburn. Not the result they wanted as Lamb's pitch. Petty swings at it. It goes a little bit low, but Petty swinging at it again. Lamb still showing good control on those drop balls. Makes the count 1-2.
I was just about to mention she's starting to figure out where she wants to place the ball, getting a little more into rhythm.
So now 1 strike away from ending this half of the inning. That one just a little bit too far on the outside edge. Evens the count up at 2 apiece.
Yeah, I think she was trying to get Petty to chase there. A little too outside for Petty's liking.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Runner at second. A lot of 2s so far in this matchup as Lamb's pitch. Petty makes contact. Looks like it will land foul on the third base side, but Vincent gets under it and makes the grab to retire the half. So Furman starting out very strong with a 2-0 run, or 2 runs, up 2 runs to nothing, excuse me. And we will see the Furman outfield come out, including their starting pitcher, Emmy Buzzard. the senior out of Saluda, South Carolina, the right-hander who was second team All-Southern Conference 2 seasons ago and had 6 saves last season as a Paladin. Meanwhile, in the rest of the Paladins infield, we have Kylie Perry at first base. We've got Ansley Chang at second base, a SoCon all-freshman selection last year. We have Rachel Hawkins at third base. And Katie Stolfus at shortstop. And behind the plate for the Paladins is Grayson Sneed, sophomore out of Ringgold, Virginia, who had 18 appearances and 14 starts last season, now starting to go into a bit of a bigger role for the Paladins and looking to keep South Carolina off the board here in the bottom half of the first.
And speaking of big roles, Buzzer in the circle, the main starter, she has 26 appearances this season. She leads the team in ERA, strikeout. She's tied with Angelina Riccardi for the wins leaders. So definitely Furman's go-to pitcher. And with South Carolina down 2-0 already in a hole, they're going to need a big bottom of the first inning. Not big, but just a little momentum to get them back into this one.
As we see Quincy Lilio begin her pre-going up to the plate process. She's been the leadoff hitter for South Carolina the entire season. Transfer out of Oklahoma, didn't really get her career in a spot that she wanted with the Sooners. Transferred to South Carolina, and she's put herself into a very big role here with this Gamecocks team this season.
Yeah, absolutely, and she's got a .516 on-base percentage. That's good enough to lead the team. Right behind her is Ariana Rodi, who bats third tonight. She has a .494 as well. So few Gamecocks really know how to get on base, but Lilio being the leader in on-base percentage and leading off is a great sign for the Gamecocks. Definitely someone Ashley Chastain would trust the most.
Buzzard's first pitch just on the outside edge for strike number 1. And Lilio, really someone who has the build of a leadoff hitter. Is not super high in the home runs. In fact, has no home runs this season. Not a lot of big hits, but enough ground balls, enough short game to really get on base and make an impact. And if that one was just dropped a little bit further, but able to make the play out in left field is Caitlin Goldwaite for the first out here in the bottom of the first.
And I know you guys can't see it at home, but that isn't a routine catch. It kind of looked like it was curving a little bit. Maybe it was going to be a line out, but the sun is glaring from this right side of our booth. We're in the shade, thankfully, because it's 100 degrees outside, but not actually. But, but that's a tough play to make with the sun in your eyes. Carly
Shelton now up to bat. First pitch is on the outside edge for strike number 1. The sophomore hometown hero out of Lexington, South Carolina, batting a .360 currently on the year with 58 hits, 48 runs. Second pitch to Shelton, low and outside for ball number 1. Buzzard, we mentioned, being one of the top, or really the leading pitcher for the Paladins with a .355 ERA, 63 strikeouts this season, 38 walks. Pretty good ratio, especially coming from a pitching-minded coach. This one a little bit low, bouncing in the dirt on the outside edge, making the count 2-1. And that shouldn't be surprising coming from a pitching-minded coach from the Furman Paladins. Their head coach is Stacy Johnson-Whitfield, heading into her 4th season as the head coach of the Paladins. Shelton makes contact with this one, scooped up by the shortstop, makes the throw to first, not in time. Shelton will be safe at first.
That's a great play by Kate Stoltzfus. Diving effort, but great job by Shelton turning on the Jets and beating that throw out by just a step.
As Ariana Rodi comes to the plate. We're talking about Furman's head coach Stacy Johnson-Whitfield. Bit of a homecoming for her as well. We've mentioned on several broadcasts Coach Chastain Woodard's history with this team playing as a pitcher. Coach Johnson-Whitfield also a pitcher for this team as Rodi makes contact out to right field. It will be caught for the second out. And Carly Shelton will remain at first. So a little bit of a pitcher's duel here on the coaching end between these two teams with 2 South Carolina pitchers battling it out here in Columbia.
Yeah, and it's going to be we expected to see a very defensive battle tonight, but balls have been getting in play a lot. There's been a lot of hits. There's only been 1 strikeout so far this first inning. belonging to Neely Lamb. But Ariana Rhodey had great contact there, just a little short of right field wall.
With 2 outs now, Ella Chancy up to the plate. First pitch from Buzzard a bit inside for ball 1. So 1-0 count with 2 outs and a runner at first for Ella Chancy, looking to cut this Gamecock deficit down. She would be the tying run here as the Gamecocks are down 2-0. And she makes contact with this one, slips past the second baseman out into center field. Shelton will hold up at second, and Chancy makes it to first.
A little bit of a lucky bounce there for the Gamecocks. Ainsley Chang over there at second base. Tried to play with her backhand on her right knee. Just, again, we talked about those weird hops over, or under Ella Chancy's glove, rather. There it happens to Furman, too. So I don't know if I'd call that an error. Maybe it is. I'm not the statistician here, but
it's called an error here on the scoreboard. That'll be Furman's first.
There we go.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that either, Austin. Lexi Winters now up to the bat. First pitch low for ball 1.
And I can see why they would call that an error, but that's a tough play to make no matter what. I mean, that, again, knee, backhander, bouncing ball. Little lucky there for Ella Chancy, but the Gamecocks will take it as they've got 2 on now.
Second pitch to Winters, low and outside for ball number 2. Winters also out of Lexington, South Carolina. One of the many Charlotte transfers on this team following Coach Chastain Woodard from her previous post, has made a big impact here with the Gamecocks as well in the 5-hole. .324 average, 45 hits and 18 runs. As that third pitch clips the inside edge for strike number 1.
Yeah, and she's also, sorry Ryan, I keep cutting you off,
good?
but she's also second on the team for RBIs right behind Ariana Rhodey. So that's a very key stat, runs batted in. Very important for the Gamecocks, you know, because we talk on Gamecock Game Day, another SGTV staple show, how important like scoring runs are and putting together a full game is. Little slip up there in the top of the first, but if South Carolina can find a way here to get a little 2-out rally as there's a 3-1 count.
Yeah, last pitch from Burkhart low and inside to make the count 3-1. So now 3-1, 2 outs, runners on first and second. Burkhart's pitch. Winters makes contact, but immediately lands foul there on the first base line.
Just a little behind that one. Took a good cut at it, but waited until that ball was practically right over the plate. So that brings up the full count with 2 outs. Big, I sound like a broken record, but another big moment for both Buzzard and Winters.
If Winters were to make it around the bases, she would be the leading run for the Gamecocks, who are down 2-0. Burkhart's pitch, Winters makes contact, is immediately scooped up by the shortstop, thrown to third. And that is Kate Stolfus there at shortstop making the grab and the quick throw to third to end this inning. So no scores for South Carolina, who are down 2-0 early here to the Furman Paladins. We'll take a little bit of a break and catch up with you here at the top of the second in just a moment. Top of the second here at Carolina Softball Stadium at Beckham Field. Kate Stolfus up to bat for the Furman Paladins, who are up 2-0 early in this one. Had a big top of the first inning, and now Stolfus looks to expand that lead for the Paladins. The freshman out of Fairplay, South Carolina, sitting a .206 average with 22 hits and 15 runs thus far.
Tanya Cash. Kind of reminding them to lower the music.
Yep.
That is on full blast, by the way, in this stadium.
It's very
loud.
It's a great environment for softball here in the SEC.
It is.
Lamb's first pitch to Stolfus. Inside edge for strike number 1.
Stolfus made a great play there at the bottom of the first to end the inning. Quick hit to shortstop where she plays. And instead of making the throw all the way to first, with short base paths, she gets the quick out at third.
Second pitch from Lamb. Inside once again, but a little bit too far. Evens up the count at 1 apiece.
Neely Lamb has had some time to kind of cool off and recollect her thoughts here. We'll see if she can get into a groove here in the second.
The 1-1 pitch from Lamb. Stolfus makes contact, but it will land foul just over the arms of Ariana Rohde there at first. And that will make the count 1 and 2.
Yeah, Rohde went up to grab it just a couple ball lengths short. And like you said, Ryan, a 1-2 count. Another opportunity for Lamb to whiz one home. I'd like to see some heat from number 24 in white here.
Good chance to get a defensive shutdown early, as this pitch a little bit too high. Evens up the count at 2 apiece.
Yeah, she wipes her hand in the dirt a little bit there. I think that kind of just got away from her. Not really sure what she was trying to throw because it was such a high pitch.
Talked about her having a lot of control with that drop ball there in the later half of the first. Call to first on the check swing, and she did cross, so that is out number 1 for the Paladins, or excuse me, for the Gamecocks here in the top of the second. Brings up Grayson Sneed from Ringgold, Virginia, the catcher.
First base umpire Tammy Cooper showing no love to Stolfus there, but I agree with her.
Lamb's first pitch to Sneed. She swings at it for strike number 1. Looked a little bit low and inside in terms of placement.
This part of the lineup, Stolfus, Sneed, and then Chang coming up next. Pretty much the lowest batting average on the team, these three. Good opportunity for Lamb to go to work here.
Second pitch from Lamb, low and outside, kind of in the same spot as that last pitch, but Sneed does not swing at this one, evens up the count at 1 apiece. So 1 out, no runners on, a 1-1 count for Grayson Sneed, and the Paladins, who are up 2-0 here against Carolina. She swings at this one as well, makes the count 1-2. I believe it might have clipped the bottom edge of the bat, might be ruled a foul, but didn't hear too big of a ting sound, so not quite sure what the official ruling would be on that one. But regardless, 1-2 count for Sneed. As Lamb winds up to deliver the pitch, and Sneed makes contact, sends it out to shallow left field. Brooke Blankenship moves from shortstop out into the shallow outfield to make the grab for out number 2.
Great play by Blankenship there, quickly turning her hips, and I thought that was going to bloop over her, but she hustles out there and makes the play in shallow left field.
This brings up Ansley Chang, the sophomore second baseman out of Cumming, Georgia, hitting a .233 with 24 hits, 15 runs on the season for the Paladins so far. It's Lamb's first pitch to Chang. Chang swings and will foul it out on the back net. Make the count 0-1. So the Gamecocks defense in a little bit of a better position here than they were at the top of the first. Very clean defense and very clean pitching by Neely Lamb so far, as this one in the inside edge. Chang swings at it again for strike number 2.
Chang is in the 9-hole for the Furman Paladins, so before they get to the top of the lineup, they want to make sure they get out of the second inning 3 up, 3 down, and go hit again while the bats are still a little hot.
So 2 pitch with 2 outs. Chang swings at it, but it will just clip foul and land in the back of the net. Keep the count at 0-2 with 2 outs, no runners on for the Paladins. the Gamecocks look to retire this half inning without an extension to Furman's 2-0 lead. Lamb checks her wristband and preps for the pitch, the windup. And Cheng makes contact at the edge, the tip of the bat there, fouls it off on the net, backstop netting on the first base side here. Count remains 0-2.
Something the Furman offense does very well is stay alive in these counts. Whether it's 1-2, 3-1, they're not afraid to swing the bat and make some contact. That's why they've done such a great job putting it in play tonight.
The 0-2 pitch from Lamb. Low and ending up just in the dirt under Lexi Winters there. Bounces into the third base backstop. But the first ball of this at-bat here for Ansley Cheng makes the count 1-2. Cheng looking to help extend Furman's 2-0 lead. Lamb's pitch. Cheng makes contact with this one, but it'll go in shallow center field, and Quincy Lelio runs up to make the grab and retire the side. So the South Carolina Gamecocks will be heading back to the back, looking to cut into this 2-0 deficit. Probably not an expected spot. I know a lot of coaches say, you know, prepare for every situation, but you really think this team was thinking they'd be down 2-0 this early?
I did not. I think Furman got off the bus a lot more awake than South Carolina did. There was a couple times there in the field where it was just a little slow for the Gamecocks, and Furman had the bats rolling. That's a great second inning, or great top half of the second inning for the Gamecocks. They need to answer with some offense of their own here. At least get one back, or at least get some momentum going.
And coming off the losing streak that Furman has, it's good that they're showing a lot of offensive life early, showing, hey, we're not here to mess around. We're not here to be an easy win on your quest to whatever, regional hosting, SEC tournament, what have you, coming at the end of this season. No, we're still here to play, and we're going to play big.
And these kind of teams are always the most dangerous. They're 15-33 overall, dead last in the SoCon at 5-13, 6-11 on the road. They have nothing to lose. They're going to throw everything at you. Whereas South Carolina, 28-4, 36-13, ranked 13th in the country. They have a lot more riding on their season right now, whereas Furman can just kind of come in and throw the kitchen sink at you. So as long as Carolina can adjust, they should be fine, but great start for Furman so far.
And if you want some testimony from big teams falling to this Furman team, look no further than last season. The Clemson Tigers were upset in a midweek by the Furman Paladins 4-3. A huge career game for a lot of these sophomores and juniors that we see out on the field tonight.
Yep. As
we get started here in the bottom of the second, Brooke Blankenship up to bat, the senior out of Hudson, Florida. She's averaging .274 with 34 hits and 26 runs. It's her third season with the Gamecocks, began her career at Florida State and then transferred to Columbia. And Buzzard remains in the circle for the Paladins. She'll check her wristband and get ready for this first pitch to Blankenship. Low for ball number 1. Buzzard ready for her second pitch. Low and inside this time to make the count 2-0.
Good patience there by Blankenship. Get ahead in the count by a couple pitches.
So a 2-0 count for Brooke Blankenship. Gamecocks down 2-0 with no runners on in the bottom of the second. And it looks like a little bit high. The catcher had to pop up there behind the plate.
All right, Ryan, 3-0.
Grayson Sneed.
3-0, leadoff, no outs. Do you give him the green light, or are you not swinging on this one?
I mean, I think we've seen a lot of looked like outside the zone, and seemed to be a good decision as that one that's looked to be a little bit below the zone, sends Brooke Blankenship to first. But I think it depends on what you've seen from this pitcher, and it looks like a bit more ball heavy than strike heavy, a bit more outside the zone. So I think you wait maybe one pitch. If she starts to hit the zone, you maybe look to bite a little bit more. But it was a great decision there by Brooke Blankenship to hold off on that. Sends her to first for the walk and brings up the 6th-year Abigail Knight. And first pitch tonight, outside and low for ball 1. 5 straight balls for Emmy Buzzard in the circle. Second pitch tonight, low and outside once again for ball 2. Tonight, one of the many transfers following Coach Chastain Woodard from Charlotte to South Carolina, now in her 6th year out of Robbinsville, North Carolina, hitting a .316 average with 43 hits and 27 runs. 2-0 count to Buzzard.
Man.
Low and outside once again.
7 straight balls.
7 straight balls. And
a few members of the crowd are letting her hear it. The ball 7 chant. Texas A&M is very fond of that in baseball and softball.
Yep. Knight looks to bunt for that one, but low and outside once again. So 2 straight walks for Buzzard, each coming on 4-0 counts. And now 2 Gamecock runners on base. We're going to get a pitching meeting here, and it looks like we might get a new pitcher out of the bullpen here. They're moving from the bullpen to the dugout. It doesn't look like we'll get a change quite yet. But a very private conversation there between Coach Stacy Johnson-Whitfield and Emmy Buzzard there in the circle. Infield remains out in their positions.
I think Coach Stacy's giving the same talk that Chastain Woodard gave Neely Lamb back in the first inning when she got into a little bit of a rut. Just take some deep breaths, get back into a rhythm. 2 runners on, good opportunity for the Gamecocks to strike early.
And now the DP at bat for the Gamecocks. It's Emma Sellers, the senior out of Lakewood, California, who's currently batting a .304 average. As Buzzard looks to deliver the first pitch. Squares to show bunt, and a throw made back to second, but not in time. But that one will be strike 1 for Emma Sellers in the lower part of the zone there. Emma Sellers in this DP position has started coming into this position in the later half of the season. At the start of the season, we saw a lot of Natalie Heath, or as the Gamecock fans have coined her, Big Bat Nat. As Sellers makes contact with this one into center field, and that will load the bases as she heads to first. The other 2 runners advance to second and third. So bases loaded, no out opportunity to get some runs across the plate for Emily Vincent.
It was easy to tell from up here that that ball was going to get down early, but Blankenship kind of paused there at second base, a couple feet off the bag. She wanted to make sure it was going to drop. I think she could have scored on that had she just taken off, but she was waiting to see if the outfielder was going to make the play or not. But that still loads the bases with no outs.
Exactly. The question becomes if you run a little bit more aggressively and risk that out, or just bring the bases loaded with no outs. First pitch to Emily Vincent clips the inside edge for strike 1. Vincent, the senior out of Elgin, South Carolina, batting a .200 average, but don't let that average fool you because she's been able to make a lot of contact and a lot of big-time swings for this Gamecock offense. As second pitch bounces off the dirt nearly right in front of the circle. Very low pitch.
She took some way off that one.
Evens up the count at 1 apiece. No outs and the bases loaded for Emily Vincent, looking to bring some runners across for the Gamecocks, down 2-0 to Furman here in the bottom of the second. Pitch to Vincent, low in the zone, or lower than the zone, excuse me, for the second ball. Makes the count 2-1.
And after Vincent, the top of the lineup comes back up, Lilio Shelton Rohde. Huge opportunity for the Gamecocks to not only cut into the lead or tie it, but to maybe get some insurance runs.
And Vincent makes contact with this one. It's scooped right up by the shortstop, makes the throw to third, but 1 run will come across, that being Brooke Blankenship scoring the run, and now the score is 2-1 in favor of Furman. Runners on first and second with 1 out, and Quincy Lilio is back up to bat for the Gamecocks.
That's another great play by Stoltzfus. Diving effort, getting the play at third, kind of similar to how they ended the inning in the first. Had that gotten past her, that would have been a lot more than just 1 run.
Lilio 0 for 1 tonight first pitch to her. She shows a little bit of a slap bunt motion, but clips the outside edge for strike one. So an 0-1 count to Lelio, looking to bring some more runs home. This one outside and low to even up the count. It's 1-1 with 2 runners on. Runners at first and second with 1 out. South Carolina looking to get their first lead of the night here in their midweek against the Furman Paladins. Buzzard's pitch clips the outside edge for strike 2.
Good turnaround for Buzzard here. Now she's got her first kind of lead in a count all inning. Lilio looking to make contact here and keep the inning alive, keep the bats hot.
As Buzzard looking to await the call on the wristband there from the dugout. Finally gets it and winds up the pitch. Lelio makes contact and it'll go past second, scooped up in right field. 1 run will score, the other runner gets to third, so now runner on the corners, and this game is tied at 2 apiece.
Big bounce, like about 10 feet from first base. Kind of chopped at it, and it bounces over first into the gap between first and second base. Big time run, big time RBI from Quincy Lilio. And here's another opportunity for Shelton to knock one in as Vincent stands on third.
That's Ansley Cheng there at second, who was just not able to get out there in time to make the grab. Shelton up to bat, has a single already tonight, but looking to bring some more runs home and get the Gamecocks their first lead as Lelio will go to second, but the throw is made back to the circle. Yep. So Lelio will advance from first to second, a stolen base for her. It's now runners at second and third for Carly Shelton.
That's the classic runners on first and third play. Steal from first, if they throw down to second, send third home. But Sneed, very smart behind the plate, just throws a bullet to the pitcher, and makes it look like she was throwing down to second. Instead, Lilio's into second, and Vincent remains at third, as that was a ball high.
Yep, high ball to make the count 2-0 with 1 out here for Carly Shelton. Buzzard gets the pitch and winds up. And it will be outside for ball number 3. So again, kind of showing what she was throwing earlier in the inning, a lot of outside, low, high, basically anywhere but the zone here, Austin.
Yeah, she started to get a grip on the ball a little bit better, started getting ahead in the counts, but now she's starting to get a little wild again.
This pitch goes right over the plate for strike number 1. Shelton looks to not only give the Gamecocks the lead, but provide some insurance runs for the Gamecocks as well. As the game is now tied at 2 apiece. 3-1 pitch to Shelton, and she makes contact and blasts it right down center field.
Wow.
That one's going to go all the way to the wall. Lelio's going to go home. Vincent's going to go home, and Shelton with a double and a single tonight, and that will make it a 4-2 score, Carolina's first lead of the night.
That is a massive hit from Carly Shelton, perfectly placed in the gap, out in left center, and that, like I said, insurance runs. Now they're up 2 instead of being down 2. A massive bottom of the second inning from the Gamecocks. That's kind of, I think Furman kind of slapped him in the face there at the top of the first. Couldn't really get anything going in the bottom, but the second inning has looked a lot more like 2025 Carolina softball.
Carolina really fighting back in a big way here at the bottom of this second inning. Ariana Rohde now up at the plate. 0 for 1 tonight after a fly out into the right field side.
And Shelton's still on second, so another runner in scoring position with just 1 out.
Exactly, still only 1 out. Chance to extend this lead even further for the Gamecocks. As Buzzard's first pitch to Rohde inside, but just clips the edge for the first strike of the at-bat.
Rohde and Chansey, the next 2 at-bats. Big bats, too, in the cleanup positions.
Yeah, I feel like one of the big focuses for this team in terms of transfers was getting a lot more power behind the bat as this one's high and inside. Shelton will hold up at second there, but the count now 1-1. And a lot of those big transfers follow Chastain Woodard from Charlotte, Rhodey being one of them, as well as Elachancy.
And what a great first season for Chastain Woodard, too.
Absolutely.
Amazing turnaround. Looking to make the NCAA tournament for the third straight season.
She makes contact with this one, that being Rhodey out into center left field. Shelton will go home, but Rhodey will be held up at first with the throw to second from the left fielder. That left fielder being Caitlin Goldwaite. And now a 5-2 score for South Carolina with a runner at first and one out.
We might see a pitching change right here.
And it looks like it will be. Can't quite. That is 26 for the Furman
Lily
Paladins,
O'Brien.
which will be Lily O'Brien, the freshman out of Cleveland, Tennessee, right-hander. So once again, one of those young, talented pieces we mentioned for this Furman roster. One of 10 freshmen on Furman's team. She comes out of high school after being selected to the All-Division team 3 times in her high school career and had a 2.96 career ERA out of high school.
And Buzzhart is one of, it is the Furman Paladins' go-to starter this year with a bunch of team-leading statistics. But when you run into a hot offense like the Gamecocks are in the second inning, you got to get a different look in there. I don't hate this move by Coach Stacy.
O'Brien with the Paladins. We mentioned some of her high school statistics, but with the Paladins, a 6.46 ERA and a 1-6 record so far on the season. 22 strikeouts and 38 walks in 34 2/3 innings pitched. As the infield will meet with the Paladins' new pitcher, and Elachancy will come to the plate. One of those big Charlotte transfers we mentioned. She was 2024 first team All-ACC, as well as being selected to the American Conference All-Tourney team. Was also a Conference USA All-Freshman selection back when Charlotte was in Conference USA before they made the move to the American. So a very highly acclaimed piece of this Carolina offense was at Charlotte, moving into this Carolina offense with Chastain Woodard, as this first pitch is inside for ball 1. So Rhodey remains at first for South Carolina. 1-0 count with 1 out. Gamecocks now leading 5-2. This one low and inside to make the count 2-0.
Home plate umpire Tanya Cash has had a tight strike zone tonight. Tight box, I should say. Buzzhart had trouble finding it for Furman. Now Lily O'Brien, her first at-bat is 2 straight balls to start.
The 2-0 pitch.
Make it 3.
Inside once again for ball 3.
Still only 1 out. Plenty of time for the Gamecocks to continue their momentum here in the bottom of the second. Have already dropped a 5-bomb on their head so far.
Which is not uncommon for South Carolina. A lot of points in this season. They've scored several runs in 1/2 inning, and that has lasted them through the game, as this one is high and inside to send Elachancy to first on the walk.
Yeah, they like to score in spurts. They like to hit quick innings, like you mentioned, Ryan. And it looks like they're going back to their ways tonight.
And I think that's something that just comes out of, this is a very short ground play focused team.
Yep.
When that starts working, it works. When you get into a rhythm where you get runners on and you're able to get hit after hit, that works. But you start to get one slip up and that starts to fall apart a lot of times. So
absolutely.
Obviously a very sustained run here in the bottom of the second, as we got 2 runners on with Lexi Winters up to the plate. The first pitch high for ball number 1. Winters, once again, another transfer out of Charlotte following Chastain Woodard here. And again, making a big impact, not as much at the plate, although she still has a .321 average, but definitely behind the plate in her position at catcher, as this ball high once again to make the count 2-0. So runners at first and second as Lexi Winters looks to expand the 5-2 lead for South Carolina. The 2-0 pitch inside, but clips the edge to make the count rather 2-1. O'Brien gets the pitch and winds up high and inside once again to make the count 3-1. So the Paladins now threatening to walk another Gamecock to the base this half inning and load the bases once again for South Carolina.
Yeah, Furman trying to do everything they can and get out of this jam. Loading the bases is the last thing they need.
O'Brien's pitch, and that will be another walk. The bases loaded once again for South Carolina as they look to pile on even more runs here in the bottom of the second, and we'll have an infield meeting here for Furman. And that discussion now over as Brooke Blankenship heads to the plate. Just one walk tonight for Brooke Blankenship so far in this game. As O'Brien gets set to wind up for the first pitch to Blankenship, and it is inside and high for ball number 1. And at this point, Austin, bases are loaded. You don't have anywhere to put them if you throw another walk.
Yeah, that seems to be Furman's narrative tonight is walks, walks, walks. And there's nothing they can do. They're trying to get around these hot bats of South Carolina.
And she makes contact with this one, but it's fouled into the first base side netting, even up the count at 1 apiece. I was waiting for my stat broadcast to update, but South Carolina's officially batted around the order with Blankenship returning to the plate. Was the first batter here in the bottom of the second, was one of those mini walks for Buzzard to start this bottom of the second, which still hasn't ended, still remains at 1 out. Inside pitch, but the throw is made to third from behind the plate, and that is Rhodey there at third, able to get back in time.
That's another example. That's another example of Furman just trying to do anything they can to get these final couple outs and end this inning and stop the bleeding. Sneed with a good throw down to third, but good reaction there.
Blankenship makes contact with this one, but it'll go right out into right field. Makes the throw to second, but Rhodey will come in to score.
That's what Brooke Blankenship does best. She's third in the nation for sac flies. She has now 8 sac flies, which moves her into third place in the program's history in a single season. So that's textbook Brooke Blankenship at bat right there.
So 6-2 now, Carolina lead. Runners at the corners with Lexi Winters there at first and Ella Chansey at third. Abigail Knight up to the plate. She had a walk earlier in this inning as well. And the first pitch to Knight outside for a ball 1. And Winters, the catcher for Furman, that is number 23, Grayson Sneed, not making an effort, a little bit hesitant to make that throw over to second. So Winters just kind of walks over to second from first. It's now runners at second and third for Knight. The 1-0 pitch. Outside once again for ball number 2.
Sneed's doing a great job behind the plate, too. These pitches have gotten away from Buzzard and now O'Brien, too. But nothing's really gone behind Sneed, so a great job reacting to these wild pitches quickly.
The 2-0 pitch tonight, outside once again to make the count 3-0. 2 outs now for South Carolina, who holds a 6-2 lead in this game. Lily O'Brien now in the circle for the Paladins after the pitching change made earlier in this half inning. And ball number 4, the bases have been walked, loaded once again in this bottom of the second inning. Emma Sellers had a single earlier in this inning, looking to provide another hit here for this Gamecock offense and provide more insurance for South Carolina. Will be Sellers' first time facing O'Brien. Her first pitch inside for yet another ball. In terms of players inside the circle for Furman, just doesn't look like they can quite get their groove together here early in this game. As Sellers makes contact with this pitch, bounces it right to the shortstop, who makes the throw to first to retire the inning.
Finally.
A little bit of a long one here at Carolina Softball Stadium. So long I'm forgetting the name of the park. Let's take a much needed break and we'll be back with you for the top of the third here on SGTV. Back here at Carolina Softball Stadium at Carolina. Jeez.
Beckham Field, maybe?
Beckham Field, there we go. I was thinking Becker for some reason. That's how much the bottom of the second inning took out of me after 6 runs, 5 hits from South Carolina to make this game 6-2 in favor of the Gamecocks. So we enter here at the top of the third with Caitlin Goldwaite, the top of the order, back for Furman. First pitch from Neely Lamb in the lower part of the zone for strike one.
We were talking about how hot the bats got there for Carolina in the bottom of the second. Furman had a great first inning, had a couple looks there in the top of the second, but they're cold now. They haven't been hitting for a while.
As that pitch made contact but fouled almost near the bullpen there on the away side. That would be Furman's bullpen. Makes the count 0-2 for Goldwaite. Goldwaite 0 for 1 tonight with a ground out earlier in the game, which seems like forever ago now after that second inning.
Barely remember it.
Lamb's 0-2 pitch. She makes the slap contact with this one, but it rolls right to Rhodey at first, who is able to run over and make the tag for out number 1.
I think she lost confidence mid-swing there. That was a really slow hit ball down the first base line. I think as soon as she made contact, she was like, I did not put this where I needed to. First out of the inning for the Gamecocks.
Brings up Sylvia Burrows. Hit a single earlier tonight. Lamb's first pitch to Burrows in this third inning. Hits the outside part of the zone for strike one.
Burrows, we mentioned a couple innings ago. She's a big bat in this Furman offense, so maybe she could spark a bit of a rally here, down 4.
The 0-1 pitch from Lamb. Inside called strike 2. We mentioned the confidence from the Paladins, from Furman's pitchers in the circle there at the bottom of the last inning, where it was ball after ball after ball. What does having such a big offensive inning do when you're Neely Lamb? You're coming back into the circle and you're throwing pitches like that where it's a swing. It looks like it just clipped foul to keep the count 0-2, but throwing a lot of good pitches in the zone, making batters swing and work for this count.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of pressure off of her. You know, when you have these insurance runs I've mentioned before, you know, down 2, you're like, okay, what do I throw? Up 4, you can kind of get a little more aggressive.
0-2 pitch from Lamb, outside and low for the first ball from Neely Lamb at this at-bat. Makes the count 1-2 with 1 out, no runners on for the right fielder, Sylvia Burrows. As Lamb winds up and just outside the zone there for ball number 2. So a big offensive inning for Carolina. They look to keep that, South Carolina, they look to keep that momentum rolling here defensively and not let Furman cut into that deficit. This pitch inside and low to make the count full.
Well, started 0-2, and Burrows fights all the way back on 3 straight balls. Patient, waiting in the box, in the very back of the box as well. Big pitch coming up here.
Burrows, one of the ones making more consistent contact as she makes contact there, but it'll head out to right field, and Abigail Knight will be there under it for out number 2. Gamecocks looking to make this a very quick half inning in opposition to their last half inning in the bottom of the second. Now Kylie Perry up to bat, hit a double earlier today, looking to provide some offensive momentum, or regain rather, some offensive momentum for Furman with 2 outs. And she makes contact with this one, but it'll roll right to Blankenship, who makes the running throw to first, and Rhodey's able to snag it in time to retire this side. So Gamecocks will be heading into the bottom of the 3rd, up 6-2, looking to add more onto their lead.
That's a pretty perfect last couple half innings, last 30 minutes or so. You know, quick top second, score 6 in the bottom, and then 3 up, 3 down again in the top of the 3rd. Great play by Blankenship running up and getting the quick out.
Well, with this being the last week of regular season softball, South Carolina's in a big place in terms of postseason play. Let's start talking a little bit about the SEC standings. For right now, they're tied with 7th with 4 other teams in the SEC, that being LSU, or with 3 other teams rather, LSU, Mississippi State, and Alabama.
Yeah.
So with the seeding right now, as it's listed on the website, South Carolina would be the 8th seed in the SEC tournament. Austin, with such, let's talk about with the postseason kind of ups and downs of former head coach Beverly Smith.
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel for this Gamecocks team to be going into the postseason with so much momentum, potential regional hosting on the line, and being up to the middle higher portion of the SEC?
Yeah, they're right around 500 record-wise in the SEC, but 28-4 at home. It would be huge if they can find a way to host a regional here. And this weekend series against Alabama coming up this weekend, their last one of the regular season, is going to be massive because you talked about all the ties for 7th, but look at Florida. They're 6th, and they're 12-9.
Yep.
If Florida goes 1-2 this weekend, or better yet, 0-3, and then South Carolina goes 3-0 or 2-1, they jump to 6, pending all the other teams, obviously. But there's the SEC is so tight right now in that middle range, 6th through 10th. So big opportunity this weekend for Carolina. But yeah, hosting that regional would be a massive win already for the Gamecocks. And you could just tell this team loves playing for Chastain Woodard in their first year. They're having fun. They're finding ways to win. 36-13 overall is a really good season.
Emily Vincent will lead off the bottom of the 3rd. First pitch from O'Brien, low and inside for ball 1. Yeah, it'll be an incredible last weekend of the regular season, not just for South Carolina, to watch, not just for South Carolina, but for the entire SEC, with it being such a tight race for every single position. As the second pitch to Vincent inside once again for ball 2.
Yeah, and everyone's chasing Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma is now in the SEC. They're 42-5 overall. Pretty dang good if you ask me. But there's a couple teams at the top who are starting to slip a little bit. We talked about it before we went on air. A&M lost a couple recently. Yeah. So they're starting to drop in the polls. The SEC's wide open, other than, Oklahoma being the doorstop. But good opportunity for anybody to grab.
3-0 pitch to Vincent, and that one will be high to start off the bottom of the third with a walk.
And immediately back to the top of the lineup with Lilio here. This could turn ugly again for Furman as they have no outs yet.
You mentioned the offensive momentum for Furman really just kind of shutting down after the top of that first inning. Carolina getting a lot more confidence and momentum behind their bats as Lilio is now back up to bat. She is 1 for 1 today with a single and a fly out there as Vincent will head to second, but will not get there in time. The throw is made from the catcher Grayson Sneed over to second base. That's no, that was the shortstop rather. Stoltfus. There we go.
That's a big tag from Stoltfus too. Vincent almost got around it, but kind of slid a little too far past the bag.
So 1 out now for Lilio. 1-0 pitch is outside to make it 2-0. And I think the Furman defense breathing a little bit easier now.
Yeah, it's always good to get that first out and get the ball rolling.
Yeah, not having someone on base as this one clips the outside edge. So O'Brien brings it a little bit more inside for the first strike of this at-bat, 2-1 count.
And that's exactly what that out did. It gives O'Brien a chance to recollect her thoughts and get back into a groove.
2-1 pitch to Lilio. She makes contact with this one, but it will bounce right to the second baseman. That's Ainsley Chang, who will make the throw to first for the out. That being out number 2 after Vincent was caught stealing at second.
Perfect positioning by Chang there. That was a tough bounce yet again from Lilio off the bat, but she comes up and plays it right into her glove, makes the out at first, 2 away.
Carly Shelton now up to bat. Started out with a single, then hit a double at her last at bat. And the first pitch to Shelton there, bit of a bounce pass right in front of the circle and a lob right over the catcher's head into the backstop.
Just a bit outside.
Safe to say that one will be ball 1.
Yeah. But that's the first, real wild pitch we've seen. We've seen a couple off the plate here and there, but that one was the first one that's gone over Sneed's head.
That 1-0 pitch clips the outside edge to even the count at 1 apiece. Build up a little bit of momentum back in the circle here for Lily O'Brien, the freshman pitcher for Furman. 1-1 pitch. Low once again for ball 2.
O'Brien has to just kind of start placing her pitches a little better. In 3 pitches, we've seen one go way high, a little outside, and then in the dirt. It's all over the place right now. She's just got to hone her craft a bit.
Shelton makes contact with the 2-1, lifts it right to left field. Should say that lifts it right to left field. Lifts it into left field for the 3rd out, and that will retire the 3rd inning. So remains 6-2 in favor of South Carolina over Furman in this midweek matchup. We'll be right back with the top of the 4th here on SGTV. top of the fourth here at Carolina Softball Stadium, where the Gamecocks lead the Furman Paladins 6-2. We have a couple of defensive changes here for South Carolina, one being a new pitcher in the circle, Jory Hurd, the junior out of Algonquin, Illinois, a huge leader in the circle for this South Carolina team with a 2.74 ERA and 14-2 record so far this season. She'll be pitching to Rachel Hawkins, and that first pitch is low for ball one. Behind the plate now for South Carolina, a little bit more of an unexpected change. We have number 12, Audrey Wilson, the freshman catcher out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. And Hawkins will make contact with that one, but it'll lift out to right field, where Knight makes the catch for out number one. But Wilson, a freshman out of Fort Mill, South Carolina, two-time state champion with Catawba Ridge High School, a three-time All-State and four-time All-Region selection. But in her freshman season, very limited appearances so far, only 8 at-bats and no hits or runs in those at-bats so far.
Grew up not too far from Catawba Ridge. Played them in lacrosse one year. Not a fan of them. We got a little chippy in that one, but good for her.
Yeah, there you go.
A little friendly rivalry there.
First pitch to Katie Peeler, high for ball one. Peeler had a strikeout earlier today. Hurd's second pitch, Peeler will swing, and that will even up the count at 1 apiece. 1-1 with 1 out and no runners on for Furman, looking to climb back from a 6-2 deficit after taking a 2-0 lead early in this game. Hurd 1-1 pitch, and Peeler makes contact, but it'll fly into the backstop net for strike number 2 on the foul.
You mentioned Jory Hurd being at the top of a lot of pitching statistics for the Gamecocks. 94 strikeouts this year. She knows where to place the ball and when.
The 1-2 pitch, foul once again.
That's a good job there by Katie Peeler staying alive. That was a fast pitch from Hurd. Just makes a little contact. Late, obviously, as it goes foul, but good contact from number 5 for the Dins.
Hurd's pitch, and Peeler makes contact, lands right in the glove of Hurd, who's able to make the simple throw over to Ariana Rhodey at first for out number 2.
What a great play by Hurd. A quick snag. In a split second, she had to make the reaction and gloves it with the backhand. Great job by Jory Hurd.
Yeah, it shows a lot of that experience. Hurd being the only returning pitcher on this South Carolina squad this season. Pitching now to Madison Petty. First pitch outside for ball one. And when you're bringing in so many freshmen or transfer pitchers, it's definitely helpful to have someone in that position staff that has so much knowledge of this program, as Petty swings at this one for the first strike at the at-bat. And Hurd has provided that leadership role and then some, I feel like, for this South Carolina team, as she's performed amazingly in the circle here in her senior season, as this one goes to her right again. And the throw to Rhodey is made for out number 3. So Furman will remain down 4 runs, down 6-2 as we head into the bottom of the 4th.
I want to touch on something you just said, Ryan, the leadership in the pitching room from Jory Hurd. She was already a great pitcher, but then pairing her up with Chastain Woodard, who was a pitcher here. She has that pitching experience before. It's great to have multiple leaders. You know, you get a coach perspective who's going to help you out and train your way through it. But then you also have more of a captain or a leadership from the player's perspective, where you can kind of relate to them more, and you can kind of see from the circle what's going on between each pitcher. So it's a really good dynamic that South Carolina has this year, and that was a phenomenal hire by the Gamecocks, and it's clearly paying off. We keep talking about their 13th overall ranking, their 36-13 overall record this season. It's been a very successful season, and it's bringing a lot of attention back to Beckham Field.
Absolutely, and you look at the top 3 pitchers for South Carolina, keeping in mind they play in such a hitting-heavy conference, such an offense-heavy SEC. You look at the top 3 pitchers: Sam Gress, 2.66 ERA, Neely Lamb, 2.67 ERA, and Jory Hurd, a 2.74 ERA heading into tonight's game. That is something that is huge for this team to build an identity, which they haven't really had in past seasons, but being able to have that much confidence in the circle, no matter really who's in there for South Carolina, is a big advantage for this team heading into the postseason especially.
And when the COVID striked in 2020, that was the first season that the Gamecocks hadn't made the postseason in quite some time. And then they missed for a couple years after that, and that was the issue, was pitching and on the other side not being able to knock in runs as often as they are right now. So it's just everything has turned around, not only in pitching but in the batter's box as well.
As we begin the bottom of the fourth here, Ariana Rhodey up to bat, 1 for 2 tonight with a single. She looks to get the offense going here early in the bottom of the fourth. First pitch inside and high for ball 1. 1-0 count to Rhodey with no runners on, no outs. A 6-2 lead for South Carolina. The 1-0 pitch right over the plate for strike number 1. Lily O'Brien evening up the count. The 1-1 pitch high for ball 2. We're hearing a lot of commotion in the stands. This has become an environment this season that's definitely picked up for what South Carolina wants compared to several last couple of seasons. As this pitch, Rhodey makes contact out to right center field, and it will drop just before the center fielder is able to get to it. Rhodey is going to hold up at first. That is Katie Peeler out in center field, who's just not able to get over there in time to make the grab. So now Rhodey at first and Ella Chansey up to bat with no outs here in the bottom of the fourth. And it looks like we will get a pinch runner here, possibly. We will for South Carolina. That is number 26, Chloe Lackey, freshman out of Oliver Springs, Tennessee. One of 2 big freshman pinch runners we've seen this season so far for the Gamecocks use, the other one being Nia McKnight. Lackey has 14 runs in 33 appearances as a pinch runner. So she will be at first for Ella Chansey's at bat. Chansey tonight 0 for 1 with a walk, has a .302 average on the season. O'Brien's first pitch, high for ball 1.
O'Brien's starting to get a little more wild here.
The 1-0 pitch from O'Brien. And Chansey will make contact with that one on the underside of the bat. It will bounce at the third base line, called foul.
Nope. A little trouble getting the ball back into the circle there.
A little bit of an errant throw on a dead ball there from Furman.
Looked a little league out there.
Definitely a lot of nerves in that Paladins outfield and infield right now, as O'Brien's pitch inside, the throw made to second as Lackey tries to steal and will not get there in time. So there is the first out here in the bottom of the fourth.
That's the second runner Sneed has thrown out from behind the plate. And Lackey, I thought she was going to get there. I thought she had a step on Sneed, but the arm power from the catcher for the Furman Paladins really shown off there on that throw.
Chansey makes contact with the 2-1, but fouls it into the netting on the first base side to even up the count at 2 apiece. So 2-2 with 1 out. And she will foul this off the third base side once again, keep the count even at 2 apiece. Lily O'Brien, we mentioned a freshman for the Paladins. I'm sure there's definitely a lot of nerves in the circle stepping into an SEC environment as that one goes foul on the first base side into the net. Count remains at 2 apiece. I'm sure that's affecting some of her throws here since she has been subbed in to this game. 2-2 with 1 out. Chansey swings and barely makes contact with that one as it fouls into the backstop.
Yeah, other than that second inning where they put up 6, South Carolina really hasn't done much on offense yet. Rhodey had that right center field single there. There's a ground ball right side.
Chansey makes contact with that, and it will go to the second baseman. That is Ansley Chang, who makes the throw to first for out number 2. So Audrey Wilson now at the plate. We mentioned at the top of the inning she subbed in for Lexi Winters at the catcher position. Her first time at the plate tonight.
And you got to think with a big series coming up this weekend that Chastain Woodard's trying to rest a couple of their key players as, oh, she takes that one hard off the shin.
Yeah, that'll be a hit by pitch on the kind of back shin there of Audrey Wilson. She looks to be able to walk over to first with not that much pain, at least from what we can see up here in the box.
Yeah, she'll take a couple extra steps past first base and walk that one off. That definitely stung. That was probably right off the shin bone. That does not feel good.
Yeah. Brooke Blankenship now at the plate. The trainers will stay out there a few extra moments with Audrey Wilson, but it's like to just collect the hitting pads and the arm guards.
She had one on her other shin, but the one that was unprotected, it was the one that got clobbered by the ball.
You never expect the back leg, you know?
It's unfortunate.
Blankenship with just a walk tonight. First pitch from O'Brien, high for ball 1. So she's up at the plate with 2 outs, a 1-0 count, and a runner on first here in the bottom of the 4th. She makes contact with this one into the foul netting on the first base side. Evens the count at 1 apiece. We were talking about leadership in the circle earlier with Jerry Hurd. Brooke Blankenship is definitely one of those people who provides that for the infield and for this Carolina defense. Shortstop here in her second year at USC, started her career out at Florida State, but has been around this team enough to know this culture as she takes this next pitch inside for ball 2. O'Brien, the 2-1 pitch. Blankenship fouls it into the net on the first base side. She's definitely shown that leadership on the field throughout this season, providing a lot of amazing infield grabs for South Carolina this season.
Yeah, she's all over the place. She's always on her toes, ready to make a play when the ball comes her way.
She makes contact with this one, but that one goes right to Chang at second base, and that will retire the bottom of the 4th. So the score remains 6-2 here for South Carolina in their final midweek matchup of the season against the Furman Paladins. We'll be right back with the top of the 5th here in a moment on SGTV. back here at Carolina Softball Stadium at Beckham Field here for the top of the fifth. Finally got the name back in my head. As we head to the top of the fifth inning, Kate Stolfus up to the plate for Furman, who's looking to come back from a 6-2 deficit. Furman went up 2-0 early in this game, really strong top of the first inning, but then South Carolina with a even stronger bottom of the second, driving in 6 runs in a big inning to put the Gamecocks up top. Hurd's first pitch is in the lower part of the zone for strike 1. And Stolfus' last time up resulted in a strikeout against Neely Lamb, who started this game. Now Hurd, second pitch to Stolfus is fouled down the first base side. Makes the count 0-2. Hurd gets the pitch and winds up.
Ooh.
Clips the inside edge and strikeout number 2 for Kate Stolfus.
Very quick doing of Stolfus from Jory Hurd. Good start to the top of the fifth.
Now the catcher Grayson Sneed up to bat. 0 for 1 tonight. First pitch high for ball 1. Or excuse me, that was called a strike, according to our scoreboard. Strike number 2 as that one goes right in the middle of the zone from Jory Hurd. Hurd really able to get control on her pitches now, being in the circle for this point. And Sneed will swing at the third pitch from Hurd for strike number 3.
Yeah, I think our scoreboard operator is a little confused.
I was going to say
that first pitch was a ball.
That is one, too. There we go.
I was kind of watching that, so.
And there's strike number 3 on the outside part of the zone for Jory Hurd, her second strikeout of the inning. Second out of the inning for Furman, as Ansley Chang will come to the plate, the second baseman, looking to provide some momentum here from the bottom of the lineup for Furman. Clawing back from a 4-run deficit. She makes contact with this one, but it goes right to the glove of Carly Shelton at second. Makes the toss to Ariana Rohde for out number 3. And South Carolina will now head into the bottom of the fifth, still with a 6-2 lead, as we get some Hootie and the Blowfish piped in here at Carolina Softball Stadium. Well, we talked a little bit about SEC postseason play. We'll talk a little bit about the NCAA regionals right now. With the current projections that we found online, they're predicted to be the number 12 seed and host a regional. And that regional at this point would consist of North Carolina, Iowa State, and Princeton. Austin, what are your thoughts on those teams?
Yeah, obviously very strong teams that can't be overlooked. I say it all the time. I keep bringing up Gamecock Game Day, but I say it all the time. Like, you can't overlook anybody. So, you know, I think even Princeton, who would kind of come in as like that 4th seed in that region, Ivy League, like they're pretty solid. Like the Ivy League's done pretty well this year. Obviously, North Carolina and South Carolina has become a rivalry more the last couple of years with football and different baseball and basketball outings, but well, we're nowhere near North Carolina's level in basketball, but you know what I mean. But no, I think that would be a great regional, and like I said a couple innings ago, it would be massive for South Carolina to host a regional. They're very good at home. They protect Beckham Field very well. I would like to see them advance out of that first round, though. As good as those teams sound and have played this year, I don't see why South Carolina can't advance out of Columbia with a regional victory.
Absolutely. I feel like it would at least help the nerves a little bit if North Carolina was in that regional. Gamecocks faced North Carolina early in the season for a series, was able to handle the Tar Heels pretty well in that one.
Yep.
So that might give a little bit more confidence heading into the region. If that were the case, of course, all speculation at this point in the season. As we have Abigail Knight to lead off the bottom of the fifth. 2 walks for Abigail Knight so far on the game. O'Brien's first pitch. Knight will make contact with this one out to left field, and the left fielder will not get there in time. Knight races to second and will hold up there as the cutoff throw makes its way to Chang. So yet another double for this Gamecock team.
I mentioned in the first inning how the sun could be an issue. It's pretty much shady almost on every position except for center, left, actually the whole outfield. But that kind of fell right into the sliver of sun still on the left field side.
Yeah, you do have a good block of shade over in left field, but you mentioned one sliver kind of right near where the infield comes in out to the foul line. Happens to land right in that spot, so could have been a case that it was lost in the sun, but a runner on base for South Carolina.
Now we have Natalie Heath pinch hitting for Emma Sellers.
It's a big bat Nat. We mentioned her a little bit earlier in the broadcast. Started out the first part of the season, first 2/3 of the season really, as the designated player for South Carolina, as this first pitch low for ball one. But then kind of her bat didn't perform as well, and then Chastain Woodard made the decision to sub out. Name is failing me right now. That one's low for ball two.
Emma Sellers.
Emma Sellers, there we go. Still thinking about that bottom of the second.
Yeah, right? That did damage to us.
Yeah. So subbed out for Emma Sellers there, who has been able to perform okay, but this Gamecock fan base has taken a love to Natalie Heath, as this one will be high, just high for ball three. Giving her the nickname Big Bat Nat.
Say that 3 times fast.
Right. Tongue twister for sure. The redshirt junior out of Sharpsburg, Georgia, hitting a 286 average, as that's a strike on the inside edge to make the count 3-1.
And in the on-deck circle is Shay Anderson. It looks like she's going to pinch hit for Emily Vinson in the next at-bat.
Inside edge once again to make the count full. Chastain Woodard kind of at the point of the game here at the bottom of the 5th, where you're starting to make some substitutions, starting to rest some players ahead of that big series against Alabama.
But also get some good looks at the depth of their roster.
Absolutely. Makes contact with this one, but into the netting on the first base side of the foul area. Keeps the count full. Alabama, we mentioned earlier, is one of the teams who is currently tied in terms of conference record with South Carolina, so definitely a battle for some seeding spots up or down coming here in Columbia this weekend, as Natalie Heath swings through that pitch for the first out of the inning.
Yeah, O'Brien took a lot off of that one. Big Bat Nat was looking to go at least into the outfield on that one, but good pitch by O'Brien, and Chastain Woodard's going to let Tanya Cash, the home plate umpire, know about the pinch hitter here. Shay Anderson up to the plate.
Yeah, so Shay Anderson still listed here on the scoreboard as a pitch hitter. I guess we'll see in the top of the 6th if she's substituted into a defensive position as well. She's listed as a utility on the official South Carolina roster here. But the freshman out of Moore Park, California, has seen a few at-bats. She has 13 at-bats for this season with a 154 average, meaning 2 hits in those 13 at-bats. So with 1 out and a runner at second, first pitch high and inside for ball 1. Anderson looks to up that average a little bit and provide some insurance for South Carolina here late in the game. O'Brien with the 1-0 pitch, and Anderson makes contact with that one and does just that. She'll get to at least first, and Abigail Knight makes her way home from second, and Anderson will take that throw to home in order to advance to second there. So it'll be a single advance to second for Shay Anderson and an RBI on top of that. Score now 7-2 with the leadoff Quincy Lilio coming up to bat.
That was a hard hit ball by Shay Anderson, straight back up the gap and into the outfield, scoring a run. First one since the second inning. We've gone a couple innings without any runs here.
Yep.
On either side.
Definitely some much appreciated insurance for South Carolina. This first pitch outside for ball 1 after starting out down to the Paladins when they scored 2 runs in the top of the first. and then obviously respond with that big bottom of the second, 6 runs. But then scoreless ever since until that moment from Shea Anderson as the second pitch to Lelio outside once again for ball 2. Happens to clip the outside edge of the zone that time for strike 1. So a 2-1 count for Lelio with a runner at second and 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th, where the South Carolina Gamecocks hold a 7-2 lead. O'Brien's pitch, Lelio makes contact and fouls it off into the third base netting. Evens the count at 2 apiece. 2-2 pitch to Lelio. She makes contact with this one, lifts it high into left field. Actually, that will not get out of the infield as the shortstop will make the grab there. That is Kate Stolfus making the grab for out number 2. Shea Anderson remaining at second as Carly Shelton comes up to bat. 2 for 3 tonight with a single and a double. Looking to bring Shea Anderson home and increase this lead even more. And she will make contact, but it rolls right to Stolfus, who makes the throw to first for out number 3. So Furman only limits the Gamecock offense to 1 run here in the bottom of the 5th, increases their lead to 7-2. Top of the 6th coming up here on SGTV. Back here at Carolina Softball Stadium at Beckham Field, top of the 6th inning, where the South Carolina Gamecocks hold a 7-2 lead in their final midweek game of the season against the Furman Paladins. Ryan Stinson with you here alongside Austin McConnell. Jory Hurd is in the circle. We mentioned earlier a substitution made for Lexi Winters, with Audrey Wilson now being behind the plate, the freshman catcher, and now Caitlin Goldwaite, top of the lineup, here to lead off the 6th inning for the Furman Paladins, looking to claw back from a 5-run deficit after taking an early 2-0 lead in this game. Hurd's first pitch will hit the outside and lower edge of the zone for strike 1.
This is probably the best opportunity that Furman is going to have to cut into the Gamecocks' lead, starting the top of the inning at the top of the lineup.
The 0-1 pitch, high for ball 1, even up the count at 1 apiece.
Obviously, depending on how this inning goes, do you think Jory Hurd finishes this game out?
Well, I think she's definitely shown a lot of confidence, but again, the question will be as Goldweight fouls this one into the dirt. The question will be how tired that Coach Chastain Woodard thinks her arm is heading into this weekend series against Alabama.
Yeah.
As Goldweight now has a 1-2 count, but her definitely having a lot of control of her pitch placement, being able to place the ball very well and kind of psych these batters out for Furman. This pitch low and outside, but in the zone once again for yet another strikeout for Jory Hurd.
And you mentioned her arm being tired. Chastain Woodard being worried about her arm being tired. That game 1 is on Thursday, so that's a quick turnaround against Alabama this weekend. And you want all hands on deck because that game 1 is going to be very important in determining who's going to have the momentum and win that series.
First pitch to Sylvia Burrows, high and outside for ball 1. Burrows 1 for 2 tonight with a single. The right fielder's hitting .331 on the season. Second pitch in the zone for strike 1. Burrows at the plate with 1 out and no runners on for Furman. He's looking to come back from a 5-run deficit, down 7-2 here in the top of the 6th. Hurd the 1-1 pitch, and Sylvia Burrows swings and misses for strike number 2.
That's a good cut from Burrows, but just a bit under it. Hurd is throwing some good heat in the circle today.
And I think in terms of what Chastain Woodard's looking at, as this 1-2 pitch goes high to even up the count, I think what Chastain Woodard's looking at is if Hurd can start to, keep that control. Looking at the pitches that are called, making sure that placement is still as close as it can be, as accurate as it can be, and having confidence in her to finish out this game as Burrows will swing through that pitch for out number 2. Second strikeout of the inning for Jory Hurd.
Here comes a substitution, I assume, from Chastain Woodard. And right on cue.
Right on cue. You want to save that arm for a big SEC series against Alabama. You're up 5 runs. You let Katie Becker come into the circle and close it out. The sophomore out of Granite Falls, North Carolina, a transfer from Charlotte, had 12 appearances and 1 start last season with the 49ers. This season has a 6.13 ERA with 4 starts, a 2.0 record in 16 innings pitched. So not a lot of experience for Katie Becker right now in terms of her time at South Carolina, but you think up 5-2 in a midweek game, late in the game, what better time to bring her in at this point in the season?
Yeah, and again, I was talking about the depth, not only at pitcher, but in the fielding, as we've seen a couple catcher changes as well, and pinch runners. It's always great to see when a young arm, I guess you could say, or not inexperienced per se, but one that doesn't see the field as much as a Jory Hurd or a Sam Gress.
Absolutely.
So it's good to see this kind of unfold, and I'm liking what Chastain Woodard's done tonight. I think she's, managed this team very properly.
Well, you think about the pitching staff, too, for the Gamecocks right now. Sam Gress is in her 6th year, and Jory Hurd is a junior, so she'll still have 1 year of eligibility coming back next season. But you start to think about the age and the experience of the pitchers that you've been using very consistently this season and wanting to get some experience here late this season for some of the younger arms like Becker especially, who Chastain Woodard already has some experience with, seeing her at Charlotte last season. Now the test is to see her adjust to an SEC environment here at South Carolina. And she will start out by facing Kylie Perry, who's 1 for 2 tonight with a double and hitting .264 on the season. As Becker gets the pitch and winds up just a slight bit outside of the zone for ball 1. Perry at the plate with 2 outs and no runners on for Furman. Here in the top of the 6th. Second pitch to Perry makes contact but fouled down the third base side. Even up the count at 1 apiece.
Perry just a slight second ahead of that one. Came around quick with the bat.
1-1 pitch.
Ooh.
A little bit high and outside. Audrey Wilson has to leap up and just isn't quite able to corral it into the glove as it heads into the backstop netting. Makes the count 2-1.
Well, we saw O'Brien for Furman throw a high pitch like that.
That pitch outside for ball 3. The 3-1 pitch. Perry makes contact and fouls it into the first base netting. Make the count full. So Becker definitely putting it in spots where it's very challenging for the batters to make full contact, either getting it in early or late. And Perry will make contact with that one, but it will bounce foul right in front of the plate before it is caught by Ella Chancey out in third. So the count remains full with 2 outs for Katie Perry, no runners on Kylie Perry. Wrong Perry there as she lifts this one out to center field, and Quincy Lelio will make the grab, get under it, and that will retire the top of the 6th.
Did you say Katy Perry?
I did. Listen, we got Katie Becker, we got Kylie Perry.
It's all over the place. Yeah. She just went to space, didn't she?
I heard about that.
I did too.
I didn't really follow it that much because, like, nah.
Yeah. Would you do that? Would you go to space for 5 minutes?
Ugh. You'd have to pay me quite a bit.
I'm not doing it for free.
A lot of uncertainty up in space. I don't know.
Yeah.
Getting there and being up there in the first place, I don't know.
I think I'd rather go to space than the deep sea. I think I'm
I fully agree with you on that.
I'm a little terrified of the deep sea.
Yep.
But yeah, I agree with
agree
you.
on that.
Full emptiness in space.
So we head into the bottom of the 6th with South Carolina looking to build on their 7-2 lead against Furman. Seen a lot of the depth here and a lot of the younger talent for South Carolina so far in this game. Audrey Wilson behind the plate and at bat. Shay Anderson coming in at bat as well. And now Katie Becker in the circle as she looks to close out this game. She's able to go 3 up, 3 down there in the top of the 6th. And meanwhile, on the Furman side, Lily O'Brien will remain in the circle for the Paladins.
Yeah, kind of their last chance at a rally here. They need a quick 3 outs and then a big 7th inning, just as South Carolina had a bottom of the 2nd.
Stacy Johnson-Whitfield putting her trust in O'Brien to close out this game. We mentioned a little bit earlier in the broadcast, Coach Ashley Chastain-Woodard spent her collegiate career here at South Carolina as a pitcher, so that's why it was such a special moment for her to come back and be named the next head coach. Furman head coach Stacy Johnson-Whitfield, also a pitcher here at South Carolina from 2001 to 2004, so a little bit of a pitcher's duel of sorts in terms of head coaching between 2 former South Carolina pitchers. Very interesting moment to have here in Columbia.
Cool cool storyline for a Tuesday night game.
Ariana Rhodey first up to bat, and she lifts this one right to the shortstop there at the infield line. That is Kate Stolfus there at shortstop, who's able to make the grab for out number 1.
No, sorry, go ahead.
Bringing up Ella Chancey.
That's perfect job by O'Brien there. Get 1 pitch out. We saw number 16, Laura Lee Scott. She headed to the bullpen and started warming up. But if there's a quick inning here by Lily O'Brien, she won't even need to come in and relieve her of her duties.
First pitch to Chancey low and bouncing off the leg guard of the catcher there for ball number 1. Catcher is number 23, Grayson Sneed for the Paladins. Second pitch inside for ball number 2. So 2-0 count early for Ella Chancey with 1 out, no runners on base, and a 7-2 lead for South Carolina. O'Brien's pitch goes low and inside once again, able to bounce off the backstop and into Sneed's mitt. But a 3-0 count for Ella Chancey, who already has 1 walk tonight. 0 for 2 on the day, including that walk. O'Brien, the 3-0 pitch inside once again, and that will be the 2nd walk of the night for Ella Chancey as she heads to first base. And it brings up the new catcher, the young catcher, Audrey Wilson for South Carolina. She was hit by a pitch last inning or a couple innings ago, but hit in that back shin area. Was able to get over to first and looks to be in fighting shape here for this at-bat, as that one is low for ball number 1. So fifth straight ball once again for Lily O'Brien and this Furman Paladins pitching staff.
And her stat line this year is crazy. 8 at-bats, 4 walks, 0 hits.
Yep.
385 on base percentage, but a 0 average because she has not gotten a hit yet. It's a pretty interesting stat line.
Yeah, according to my starting chart, 4 strikeouts as well in those 8 at-bats. She makes contact with this one, and that one will not be a strikeout for sure. That'll increase her average for sure, as that one is lifted sky high over the left field wall, just clears the foul pole, and that is a 2-run home run for the freshman catcher out of Fort Mill, South Carolina. What a huge moment for her late in the season.
Audrey Wilson, I am so sorry. I was unfamiliar with your game. She must have heard me.
Listen,
because
your
that
voice
ball
carries from up here.
That ball was
there.
crushed. Oh my goodness! As soon as she hit it, I was like, "Oh no!"
She was not having any more of it from Austin here. A 9-2 lead now for South Carolina here in the bottom of the 6th.
Oh man!
And now we see Nia McKnight coming up to the plate as a pinch hitter. Seen her a lot in pinch running situations for the Gamecocks. She has 13 runs in 31 appearances as a pinch runner, but she has had no at-bats so far this season until now. So possibly another special moment for some of this younger South Carolina talent on the horizon as Nia McKnight comes up to bat.
I'm keeping my mouth shut on this one. I'm just going to let them do their thing. But what a hit by Audrey Wilson, and that's just the dagger. You know, South Carolina had such a big lead already, as Tanya Cash is.
It looks like McKnight. Oh, there will be a pitching change for Furman.
Oh, gotcha. I was a little confused what she was doing. That'll bring in number 16, Laura Lee Sky, who was just warming up in the bullpen a minute ago.
Laura Lee Sky, the right-hander out of Greenwood, South Carolina, the senior. She went 7 of 6 for Furman with a 3.87 ERA last season. Was also named to the academic all-district team last season as well. And we mentioned a little bit earlier, this Furman Paladins team is not a stranger to some big upset midweek games. And Laura Lee Scott is actually the pitcher credited with that 4-3 upset win over the 17th ranked Clemson Tigers last season. So she'll come in as there's 1 out in the bottom of the 6th, and Nia McKnight is up for her first at-bat of her South Carolina career. McKnight in high school was a two-time second-team All-State selection out of Loganville, Georgia. She holds her high school's records for RBIs, home runs, and slugging percentage, so proving to be a big hitter out of high school. We'll see if that translates here into this game.
That's pretty good.
Rated the number 17 high school recruit this past season by Extra Innings Softball.
Yeah, and we've talked about how Furman has a young team and how a lot of their freshmen are already in the starting rotation. But like Carolina's the opposite. They have a lot of juniors and seniors. Nia McKnight might not get time right now, but she will very well in the coming years, because you know there's just no spot for her right now, and that's a great problem to have if you're Carolina. That just adds to the depth I've mentioned a couple times in the broadcast already.
Well, we've seen one of her biggest qualities is speed in her appearances as a pinch runner. Part of the reason why Coach Chastain Woodard has involved her in that pinch running position so much, but her first time at bat here for South Carolina. So you see there 13 runs, 4 stolen bases, as we see on the scoreboard for Nia McKnight. First pitch from Laura Lee Scott to Nia McKnight is low and outside for ball 1. South Carolina now with a 9-2 lead after the home run. That one in the lower part of the zone to even out the count, 1 apiece.
Good frame job by the catcher, Sneed there. Really sold it.
And McKnight will make contact with that one, but it will land in the foul netting there on the first base side. Count now 1-2 for the freshman out of Loganville, Georgia. McKnight listed defensively as an outfielder on the South Carolina roster. We've not seen her in any of the outfield positions just yet. As she hits that one into foul territory on the first base side, that one will land in the concourse, and the count will stay at 1-2. Furman pitcher Laura Lee Scott looking to help shut down the South Carolina offense after a big home run from Audrey Wilson. 2-run home run from Audrey Wilson increases the lead to 9-2. That one very inside, nearly clips Nia McKnight, at least from our view up here in the box. But that will even up the count at 2-2.
I think Scott was trying to go for like a curve ball or a slider there and just wasn't able to get it to turn as much as she wanted.
So now the 2-2 pitch from Scott. And that one will be high to make the count full for Nia McKnight.
It's always great when a freshman gets her first at-bat because even in a 9-2 game, the South Carolina dugout is very vocal, and they're showing their support for their young teammate. Special moment that she'll cherish for a while, I assume.
Absolutely.
I hope.
3-2 pitch, and McKnight will make contact with that one. It heads out to left center field, and it pops out of the left fielder's hand. It lands onto the warning track, and Nia McKnight, her first career at bat, a double for South Carolina.
That's about as dramatic of a first AB or first hit as you can get. Great job, Nia McKnight. All-star Nia.
That is Caitlin Goldway out in left field, who just was not able to get her glove around the ball, resulting in that double. It will be scored a hit officially here on the scoreboard. The 10th hit of this game for South Carolina.
Now
and
here
what
comes
an incredible one it is for Nia McKnight.
And here's another freshman, Maya Flint, one of the backup catchers, stepping into the box.
Flint out of Rockland, California. She's the number 14th catcher in the country according to Legacy Legends. Part of the 2023 SAC-B All-Metro First Team there in California. And the first pitch to Flint inside.
Still only 1 out. The Gamecocks can add to their already very large lead.
A potential of run ruling it here as well. If they get one more run across the board, that would be, at this point, Nia McKnight at second to solidify the game here in 6 innings. 1-0 pitch to Flint. Right over the plate for strike one, evens up the count. Now Flint does have some more experience here at the bat. 16 at-bats this season, a .312 average with 5 hits and 2 runs. 3 RBIs alongside that as well. One of those hits being a double, and one of them being a home run. And she makes contact with this one. It'll land in left field, and McKnight will make it home. Flint will head all the way to second, and that is ball game for South Carolina. A 10-2 6-inning run rule win for South Carolina against the Furman Paladins. After Furman goes up 2-0 in that first inning, South Carolina responds with a huge bottom of the second, 6 runs, and then leading all the way to the 5th, a 1-run inning, and then 3 runs here in the bottom of the 6th to close it out 10-2 in this final midweek game of the season. Well, Austin, what were your thoughts on all the depth we saw from South Carolina and their position heading into this weekend series against Alabama?
I mean, after the first inning, it was a hitting parade for the Gamecocks. Their offense really came alive. including that depth. I mean, I don't think one starter scored a run in the bottom of the sixth there. That was all backup pinch hitters, which is really awesome to see, and a really fun night for the Gamecocks. It started a little rough as Furman got out to a 2-0 lead, and props to Furman for making the bus ride up here about 2 hours from Greenville, and they gave it everything, but South Carolina was just the better team tonight all around. Good pitching, good hitting, and they're walking away with a 10-2 win.
And we can't mention enough, a huge game for all of these freshmen. Chloe Lackey, Nia McKnight, and Maya Flint as well, providing those big bats and getting those runs across there in the bottom of the sixth, closing it out. Well, that'll do us here from SGTV. We thank you for tuning into our broadcast. Tune in this weekend for our series against Alabama. We'll have coverage of all 3 games here on the SGTV YouTube. For all of us here, I'm Ryan Stinson alongside Austin McConnell. Here's a good night, Carolina, forever to thee.